Hi, I'm Kathy Levinger. In this lesson we're going to look at translating English statements and sentences to algebra. Let's look at some examples. What we want to do is first of all translate each of the following phrases into algebraic expressions. The first phrase we see is for more than twice a number. Starting from the left, I see the number 4. More than can be translated to the algebraic operation of addition. Twice means 2 times, and when you see something like a number, choose a variable, we might use the variable n. So 4 plus 2n is one way to translate that phrase. Let's look at the next phrase. It says 8 less than d. So we want the whole expression to represent an amount that is 8 smaller than d. That translates to d minus 8. This can be tricky. It's often thought of as 8 minus d, or you read it from left to right as 8 minus d. But think of it as a quantity representing 8 smaller than what d is originally, and you'll come up with the correct order of subtraction. Our next phrase says the quotient of Q and 36. Quotient means to divide in algebra, and so I'm asking for a division of Q and 36. The way that those are presented, Q, or 36 is the divisor, Q is the numerator if we write the division as a fraction. Order matters in division. Finally, we have half of the product of 5 and x. Half means to multiply by 1/2. Half of the product of two things. Now, product also means to multiply, but the way that this is worded, you might think to group the product of 5 and x. So we're looking at half of, or 1/2 times, the product of 5 and x. This is just 4 examples of a number of different phrases that can be translated, and you can see some other examples in your book on page 97. Well, let's continue, but look at translating sentences into algebraic equations. These are not phrases and expressions, but sentences and equations. These are not ones we're planning to solve, though. The first sentence is 2 less than 3 times a number is 8. Well, let's be literal and start at the left. 2 less than 3 times something. Let's use n for our number. 3 times a number, take away 2, is a quantity that represents that statement. Is 8 translates to equals 8. Our next sentence says, the total of x and 9 is 4 more than twice x. Well, the phrase the total of x and 9 translates to addition, so we'll write x plus 9. Is translates to equals. 4 more than twice x becomes 4 plus 2 times x. Our third sentence says, the sum of a number and its reciprocal is 1. Well, let's pick some letter to represent our number. We want to take the sum, which means to add, our number and its reciprocal. Remember that a reciprocal is found by interchanging the numerator and denominator. There's an implied 1 in the denominator here, so the reciprocal of n is 1 over n. And that sum equals 1. Our fourth sentence here says 5 times the quantity p plus q is 3. So 5 times, we need to enclose p plus q. It's a quantity that is multiplied by 5. That product is 3 is the rest of that equation. Let's continue with another example. Here what we want to do is translate each of the following sentences into algebraic equations. As we do so, or after we do so maybe, indicate clearly what each variable represents, including units, and we don't need to worry about solving. The first sentence says, the area of a square is 50 square inches. What is the length of each side? Well, it's implied here that you remember that a square, or for a square, each side has the same length, and you get its area by multiplying a side by itself. So let's let x equal the length of each side, and that will have to be in inches if the area is going to be square inches. And in that case, a side times a side has to be 50 according to the area formula. In other words, x squared is 50 is an algebraic equation that represents this sentence. Let's look at the next one. This one says apples cost 68 cents a pound. How much does 13 pounds of apples cost? Well, let's see. According to the statement, apples cost 68 cents each pound. The thing that we don't know is the cost. So we can let C represent the cost, and that will be in dollars. This is actually in dollars, although we read it 68 cents. And according to the information given, the cost of 13 pounds is found by taking our 68 cents times the number of pounds. This is actually an equation, even though you would multiply. Let's multiply 0.68 times 13. 0.68 times 13 is 8.84. And so we could write a simplified equation here, 8.84. Although the directions do say do not solve, either one of these is okay in this particular example. Well, in this lesson we've just looked at a few examples of translating English to algebra. Be sure to work lots of exercises from your book to practice this.